how would that come to arise within the human brain? Well, what's different between the autistic brain and the neurotypical brain? Well, studies used to say that it's because of under pruning. That means that not as many neurons are snipped and removed during the process of maturation. And now some new studies say it might be the opposite. So if it's not under pruning or over pruning, maybe it's both. I'm thinking that might account for the fact there are some opposites within autism, contradictory seeming symptoms or effects of it. And I think that if this is not an over pruning disorder or an under pruning disorder, as I'm trying to put how I feel, it could be called just a pruning disorder. Now, what would that mean if it were just a pruning disorder? I'll throw another technical term at it, which is cross-modal modality in the brain. There's different parts of the brain that are usually responsible for different activities in the brain, like there's a linguistic center for language. And let's say if that area were under pruned or unusual in an autistic person, that would mean that, for one thing, if they need to communicate, they would need to do it through a different part of their brain. Like Phineas Gage, the famous railway worker, after he had a spike go through his brain, it had to rebuild itself and use different parts of the brain since the usual connections weren't available for him anymore. And there are similar adjustments that the human brain does when there's anything unusual going on. So what that would result in both cases of over and under pruning is things would be cross-modal. You would have language going through a visual center or other apparent mismatches that could lead to some of the creativity in autistic people and to some of the deficits in, I think primarily in assembling a greater whole, basically. A greater whole that is intact itself and easily and broadly and securely connected to all of the body. It ends up in an embodiment problem.